Jailbreak. I want to focus on this Herod, the one that killed James and put Peter in the prison. He was born Marcus Julius Agrippa. His grandfather was Herod the Great. Agrippa's father was that favorite son of Herod the Great, the one that was being prepared to take over the kingdom, the favorite son. And yet, as Herod the Great approached the end of his life, he became suspicious of his favorite son and had him killed. Grandpa then sent his grandson Agrippa off to Rome to be educated. The Caesar liked this young man and had him educated with his own son, Claudius, who someday would become Caesar. But as Agrippa grew up there, he became reckless and a playboy and got in trouble and went into debt, and so much so that eventually he had to flee the city to get away because he owed so much money. Went back to Judea. There he went into one of the fortresses that his family owned and was about to commit suicide. His wife got him through that time. His uncle, also his father-in-law, took pity on him. This is actually Herod Antipas, the one that killed John the Baptist and that Jesus wouldn't talk to. Had pity on the boy and paid off some of his debts and brought him up into the Galilee area. Gave him kind of a thankless job of overseeing Tiberias with a little bit of a salary, no responsibilities. Agrippa got tired of that, and he and his uncle would argue. Finally, he left and went north up to his other uncle, Uncle Philip, which ruled to the north, the only good Herod. And up there, he just knocked around and was reckless again and got in debt and finally had to flee the country again. Went back to Rome. Well, when he got back there, life still, Caesar treated him well, but one day Caesar heard that Agrippa said that he wished Caesar would die so his son Claudius would become the emperor of the land. Caesar took Agrippa and put him into prison to be executed. According to tradition, Agrippa looked up and saw an owl perched above him and knew it was an omen for good, but also knew that if he saw it again, it would be an omen for bad. Well, sure enough, soon after that, Caesar died. And the new Caesar brought him out of prison, honored him, and about that time, Uncle Philip's region above Galilee became available, so Caesar gave it to Agrippa. And this starts the last 7 years of Agrippa's life. And as bad as he had been before this time, he was good after this time. It was a turning point. Well, good, aside from the fact that he got a chance to testify against Uncle Herod Antipas, and did, and had him executed, and Caesar gave him Antipas's area. Now he had Philip's area and Uncle Antipas' area as well, a large area. In time, he was given Judea. He now ruled over an area that was as large, if not larger, than his grandfather, Herod the Great. But the people loved him. They said he was compassionate, that he was friendly. It says that he honored the law, so much so that he participated in the various festivals, but not as king, but as a commoner. would go through the whole thing. Actually, at one point, his entourage was going through Jerusalem when it came up against a wedding procession coming the other direction. Well, the wedding moved out of the way because the king was coming through, but no. Agrippa stopped everything and made his group move to the side so that the wedding could pass. Oh, the people loved this man. He lowered their taxes. At one point, Caesar was going to put his own image in the temple, which would totally desecrate it. And Herod Agrippa went to bat for them and stopped that from happening. He became so popular and so famous in that area, even in the surrounding kingdoms, that they started to suspicion him as going to take over. And in fact, when he started fortifying Jerusalem, he enlarged it and fortified the walls, that Caesar stepped in and made him stop. The Jews loved him, so much so that he was asked to go to the temple. They had a place where the king was supposed to sit in the temple compound. And there he was handed the law, the book of Deuteronomy, and they believed that the king, the rightful king, should read the law to the people. Well, when he did, he was reading the book of Deuteronomy, and he came to the part that said, "You may not put a foreigner to rule over you." At this point, Agrippa stopped. He bowed his head and his eyes filled with tears. The people shouted, "No, no, you are our brother. You are our brother." The people loved him. He was so Jewish that he became anti-Christian. That's when he had James killed, and all the Jewish people loved that. So he went after Peter, and that's what this story is all about. The book of Acts says that afterwards he went to Caesarea and made a speech that the people loved. Oh, it was actually more than that. On the day of the speech, he dressed in a robe made of silver. So when the morning sun shone on him as he was giving his speech, he literally glowed. And the people heard the speech and saw this, and they cried out, "This is not a man, but this is a God." This was to honor Caesar, this whole event, because Caesar was suspicious of him. Well, when Agrippa heard that this was a god, he didn't accept it, but he didn't reject it either. And then he looked up, and he saw an owl perched above him. At that point, he knew he had done wrong. He fell to the ground and gripped his stomach. He was sick for 5 days after that. Oh, the people wept and cried and bowed down and fasted and prayed. And for 5 days, they prayed for their king. And then he died. He had ruled for 7 years total. 3 years over Judah in Jerusalem. He was 54 years old. And yet history would know him as Agrippa the Great. Come back when we give you more insights on the story.